Hey, it's Nick again from Grayscale Gorilla. I am the Gorilla, and in this short tutorial, I wanted to show you guys some of the other features in version 14 of Cinema 4D that we thought were kind of interesting and been playing around with, but probably won't do a full big tutorial on. But I still wanted to make this to show you guys some of the other features I thought were pretty fun and show you guys how to use them. So let's head on into Cinema and let me show you. So the first thing are color options for lights and nulls. Chris was showing me this. I thought this was really interesting. If you pull up a light, you know, you've seen me do this a lot where you just kind of get like a slightly warm or slightly cool light. But if you have a lot of lights in your scene, you may not know which light is which. So let's make a couple lights here. Let's make our little blue light and our kind of warm light like we do. And but then you can't really look up unless you name them. And who wants to name layers? Let's be honest. Up in your viewport here, you can't really know which light you're grabbing. So one way you can do this is you can go into your basic settings on your light and turn on icon color. And you see what that did? It made it like this warmer light. And you can do the same thing with the other light. So now we can know we're grabbing our pale one and our blue one, and you can see a little bit more visually. Well, what's nice is, what's not nice is if you grab a new light and you try to change its color, it's not going to register up in the icon, and that's because this icon color is turned off by default. Well, here's what you can do. You can turn on your icon color on by default, and then make sure you set all your settings back to what you want your defaults to be, but then you could actually replace the default. And the way you do that is you make sure your icon color is turned on, and you make sure everything is the way you want it, and you go to Edit, Set as Default, and it's going to ask you, would you want this current object to be set as default type for this light? You say yes. Now what this means is next time you pull up a light, it's going to have those default settings on it. So let's pull up the light, now let's change the color, and you can see it's on by default. This is pretty cool. Well, this also works for nulls. Now nulls, I use nulls all the time to either use it in hierarchy and have things under it, or just to organize things. But you can also color your null. So if you go to the basic tab on your null, you do the same thing. Turn on icon color, and in this case, it's not a slider for the light. It's this display color. You could say use color on, and now I could say call this the red null, and it's going to show up in the viewport whatever color I pick here. So this might be a nice way for you to organize things and just see visually instead of with an icon, kind of maybe see colors on how things are set up in your scene and in your hierarchy. So anyway, that's colors. Next, we have the camera morphing. So let me show you that really quickly. I think I have a scene here set up with just kind of a low-res version of the city kit here. What I want to do is fly a camera through it. And let me show you quickly how to set this up. So the camera morphing tools allow you to set up two cameras and then morph between them. So let's set up our first camera, which is, let's say, right here. And then let's duplicate it, move it down, and turn it on, and then zoom in. Maybe do a little city fly through here. So we're flying through the buildings, and we're just going to fly right through to here. Okay, so that's camera 1 and camera 2. And also in 14, the camera morphs between it just visually in the viewport. So that's kind of nice. It's really nice if you have a lot of cameras and you're moving around, and all of a sudden you end up on a camera, you don't know where it's pointing. That'll kind of show you in an animation kind of jumping between the two. So this is kind of a cool feature also. But to animate this, what you do is you grab both cameras, you grab just grab both of them in the object view here, and go to Create Camera Morph, and it will automatically set up a new camera that has these two cameras on it. So if we turn on this camera, morph camera, we can use this blend slider to then animate between each camera. And this will work with more than two cameras. It'll work with as many cameras as you throw into the system, but it's just a nice simple way to set up a really quick camera setup. The last thing I wanted to show you was in the picture viewer. Now the picture viewer has a new tab. It's called Filter. And this, let me make this a little bit larger so we could see it. I'm going to go to full screen mode here so we could see everything. I'm going to make our image a little bit larger. But what Filter allows you to do is do some basic color correction on your image while it's still in the navigator here in the viewport. Now this isn't going to be a replacement for After Effects or Photoshop or anything, I'm afraid, but I think there's enough tools here to be able to do some basic looks and some basic color correction to make sure your render is where you need it to be. And like I always say, you always have to do color correction. and at the end of every one of your renders. It's not finished until it's color corrected and out the door. So what you can do is use these tools to maybe try out some different looks and try out some different color corrections. So what you have are some basic things like saturation and brightness and contrast. But then you have your gamma, which you can change on the fly here. And you also have some curves. Now, curves to me are one of the most powerful color correction tools, probably the most powerful there is to me. I use them all the time. Allows you to add some contrast and get in there and change some stuff. What I'm doing is clicking Command to add a new little nub on the line here, so we can make a little bit more detailed curve. So let's say we wanted to add a little bit more curve contrast, but then it also gives us our red, green, and blue curves, which allows us to do things like lift up the shadows and the blue like you see me do all the time. And now here we go. We have a very drastic look between what we started with and what we ended with, and you can actually mix between them. Here's the grading intensity from 0 all the way to 100, and you can even save these and try these out. So play around with the filter. Like I said, I don't think it's going to replace my actual workflow, but for just doing really basic stuff, instead of copying and pasting into Photoshop for just a quick little look, you may want to play with some of these tools and play around with some color correction. But anyway, those are a few new features in R14 that I figured I'd show you that we probably won't do a big full tutorial on. More of the other short videos we'll do big tutorials on, but figure I'd show you anyway, since we're probably going to play around with them here no matter what. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in another tutorial really soon. Hope you're enjoying 14, and bye.